What is going on, fam? So the time has finally come. Those have been rocking with me already know, but time for coilovers on the Vette. I'm not gonna get into too much detail on these, but these are the Fortune Auto 510 coilovers. I already did an unboxing video explaining all their features, so I'm not gonna go there. But these are a mono shock design. They are adjustable. They have adjustable dampening, all that stuff. Made in the USA, 5-year warranty. Very beautiful piece of kit. I went with 12K springs at the front, 10K in the rear. These are the front coilovers right here, and these are the rear coilovers right here. So we gonna go ahead and get into it. So we're gonna start with the front. I was already working on the car, so some of it's already torn apart, but I'm still gonna let you know what you need to do as we go through those steps, so don't worry about it. I got you, fam. But first thing we're gonna do, we are gonna remove our washer reservoir and our coolant reservoir, not completely, but we're just gonna take off the bolts and move them out of the way. It's 2 10mm bolts holding both of those up. So one right here, one right there, and then the coolant has it on the outside fender well. You'll see the 2 bolts right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and loosen these up, just get those out of the way. If you look in there, you can see right here, this is your shock nut that's poking out right there. I'm just gonna hit that with an impact. If you don't have an impact, you can do it with a opening wrench and a Allen key. And the other one is right there. So gonna go ahead and loosen those up right quick, so that way we can work towards dropping our front shocks. So got that upper nut out. As you can see, I've already done some tearing apart because I was doing some other stuff, but I'm gonna walk you through it. So next thing you would do is go ahead and remove these 4 mounting bolts for your upper control arm, and you just want to move your upper control arm out of the way. So upper control arm is out of the way now. As you can see, I already removed my caliper and my rotor. And the reason why you want to do this is because you're gonna have to remove your tie rod end, and when you remove your tie rod end, it's gonna make this whole assembly hang down, and it will stretch your brake line, and you don't want that to be getting yanked on or damaged. So go ahead and do that. So next thing you would want to do is come down here, and down here is where your bottom of your shock mounts, and it's just these 13mm nut and bolt combo. You just come from the bottom and put an opening wrench on top right here, and just go ahead and unscrew those, loosen that up right there. Actually, I'm gonna try and mount the coilover without moving the tie rod in, but one thing you will have to remove is your sway bar end links, just for extra space, and just so you're able to lower down this A-arm. It looks like I have enough room, so I don't think I'm gonna have to remove the tie rod in, so I'm gonna try installing it first without removing it. So, gonna grab me a front coilover. Grab that one right there. Now, what I'm gonna do, first, I'm gonna put the upper mounting bracket through, then I'm gonna go ahead and put on the nut and bolt. All right, y'all, so I got the coilover hanging in place. So one thing that you may have to do is adjust the bottom mount to be flush. What I did was I took 2 adjustables. I put one here, put one there, and I just pushed down in order to get enough leverage to actually rotate it, because it's a bit difficult. And you definitely won't be able to do it with your hands. So you're gonna have to rotate that in order to line it up with these holes right here. So now what I'm gonna do is lower the whole lift, because I got this little jack right here, and I'm gonna lower it to where I need it in order to get the coilover mounted from the bottom. Obviously, I'm still keeping everything loose for right now. As you can see, the top mount, but yeah, I'm gonna keep everything loose for right now. And then once I got everything how I want it to be, and then I'll start tightening things back up. All right, y'all, so I got the mounting bolts on. I'm not too worried about getting them tight at the moment. I'm gonna go back and do that. So next thing we'll do is go ahead and get my control arm reinstalled right there. And then once I get the other coilover installed on the other side, then I'll go ahead and put back on my sway bar also. So once I get everything installed, I'll double check the preload, and then I'll start adjusting the ride height also, and when I have all 4 shocks on the car. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna button up the rest of this right quick, and then we'll move to the back. Forgot, so you have to remove your leaf spring also, and the way I did that was pretty simple. So after I removed my tie rod in on my left side, after I removed my control arm up top, and then I disconnected my brake caliper, I was ready to pull this whole assembly down, also the sway bar. So once you pull this down, it takes pressure off of this side of the leaf spring. Then all I did was undo the 2 bolts right here, the 2 bolts right here holding up the leaf spring, and that took off pressure, and I was able to just pull it all the way out right here. So super easy to take out the old leaf spring in the front, nothing too big. So back to the install. So we got everything back together, as you can see in the front. Now I'm just gonna go through and torque everything. So the upper control arm bolts are 48 foot-pounds. The lower shock bolts are 21 foot-pounds. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten those up. I've already reinstalled the coolant reservoir and the windshield washer reservoir. So everything's tight now. I have to set preload on the coilover. That's pretty much the amount of tension that's on the shock. Fortune Auto recommends 1/4 of an inch in the front and no more than 1/8 of an inch in the rear. So I'll do that. And then I'll wait until we have all 4 shocks on to actually adjust ride height and all that stuff, because that's gonna be a little bit of a process. I'm gonna go ahead and torque all this stuff down, set the preload on these, then we'll move to the back. All right, y'all, moving on to the rear suspension finally. So first thing we're gonna do is take off the rear spring bolt, and that goes to the control arm right here and right here. Next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna take out these 4 13mm bolts, and then the whole thing will just drop down to the ground. Good thing is this thing is only under tension when the car is on the ground, so if you have the car up, there's no tension, nothing to worry about. Just go ahead and pull it down. All right, so now that we got the spring off, first things first, we're gonna remove our rear tie rod. It's an 18mm nut right there, so I'm gonna go ahead and just hit it with the old impact. All right, so next thing we're gonna do is go ahead and remove our tie rod, and so we'll be able to lower the A-arm in order to get the actual shock out once we go to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and take out that right quick. So next thing we're gonna do is remove our lower shock mounting bolt. That's a 24mm. So gonna hit this with the impact. Now the nut is loose, so I'll go ahead and take that off. Now we're gonna come up to the top and we're gonna remove these 2 13mm bolts that's holding the shock up. So we're gonna pull that down, and then we'll go ahead and finagle the shock body out. All right, so I got the old one out. All I did literally was I was able to compress it with my hands. If you push hard enough, it'll compress. You just gotta be quick to pull it out of its mounting hole. So now we're gonna go ahead and install the new coilover. So what I did was I put the coilover to a shortage setting, and just so it would be as easy as possible going in. So if you look at the coilover, so the top hat has a elongated side and a shorter side, so it's offset. You want the shorter side going up to the car, and the longer side goes to the bottom of the car like so. And all you have to do is literally just jack up this whole assembly and it'll fall into place. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the bolt started there. I'm gonna put the bolts back up in here, and then I'll be able to adjust everything from there. All right, so I got the top bolts torqued there, 21 foot-pounds. Now we're gonna move on to the bottom bolt. But before you go to torque it, you wanna make sure that your suspension is in the right position, because your bushing in there, if you torque it and when the bushing is not loaded, I like how a car will be when it's on the ground, and you could wear out that bushing prematurely, cause binding, and possibly rip that bushing. So I put a little bit of tension just to bring it up closer to where the car will be on ride height. Then I'll go ahead and torque it down. All right, y'all. So this is the initial ride height. I haven't really adjusted anything thus far. Obviously, I still need to drive it around right quick to let these settle. So I'm gonna throw on the rest of these lug nuts. This only has 2 lug nuts on right now. So the suspension can settle a little bit, go drive it, get a vibe for it. And yeah, so I'll check in with y'all when I get back. So I just went on a little road test to make sure everything's good with the suspension. I need to lower the front a little bit. The rear is right about where I want it, and it's pretty even, so I'm gonna leave that where it is for now. These have 24 levels of dampening. I'm gonna keep it at 10 all around for right now. I'm gonna see how I like that. Fortune Auto have recommended to start there, and I think that's a good idea. No need to firm it up just yet. I just wanna get used to the suspension and new characteristics. But yeah, man. Looking good so far. I'm gonna put it back in the air. I'm gonna make a few adjustments, but I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here, man. I appreciate y'all checking it out. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was informative. I'll have a link to where you can get your own set of Fortune Autos in the description below. I'll also link where you can find all of the technical details and also their website, all that good stuff. But please do like and subscribe. Take it easy. I'm out. All right, so we are back. Time for a quick review. I just want to sit down to give my thoughts on my Fortune Auto Coilovers after driving on them on the street. I also did a track day at Hockenheim, and I also went to the ring twice on these coilovers. So I got a good gauge of like how I feel about them. So for one, I went with the 12K springs in the front and 10K springs in the rear. So one thing I will say is that they perform better, I think, at the upper level of their dampening adjustment. So I had to stiffen them up a bit for them to work for me. I noticed when I had them at 10 in the front and 10 in the rear on their dampening adjustment, I would bottom out going over some bumps. So, you know, if I'm on the highway, I had a pretty good bump, I would bottom out. So I'll talk about ride quality first. So ride quality, I felt over my leaf springs, which I was lowered, so that is a variable. So I'll try to be objective, you know, but my car was not on its stock suspension. It had upgraded Bilstein shocks, and it was lowered on its factory leaf spring. So the rear ride was a bit harsh. I would hit a bump and I could feel like the ass end like skip around. It didn't have good compression and rebound characteristics. Like it would feel like the ass end would like jump in the air, but then it would come back down. Like it would just be kind of weird with the stock suspension. So and also another thing that people talk about is crosstalk, because even though it's fully independent suspension, you still have this link that is connecting both sides of your suspension together. So if your rear right wheel is loaded, to some extent it's going to load your rear left wheel. So that was one of the things. But on the street, the ride felt a lot more comfortable. The ride felt a lot more fluid. And when I hit a bump, it felt like the suspension was just working better. Like I would hit the bump and I mean, it felt like I could feel like finally like both wheels, you know, like all the wheels are working like independently to deal with this bump. So it was just a lot smoother in that regard. But I would say my last time at the ring was where I saw the biggest improvement, because the ring is pretty bumpy for like what it is. It's not the smoothest racetrack in the world by any means, so you have to have good suspension to deal with all the undulations. Like you're jumping, like literally. There was a photo I saw and that somebody had took of me at the ring where I think 2 of my wheels was off the ground. It was either 2 or 3 of my wheels was off the ground. And the suspension dealt with it perfectly. Like going through the carousel and everything, it just felt so planted. I had so much confidence in the suspension. It felt like the wheels were always in contact. It felt like it was taking the bumps and the undulations on the track and dealing with them, but still also putting the power down. I noticed less wheel hop when launching. I noticed power coming out of corners. I could put it down a little bit quicker. I also did my engine mounts and my transmission mounts, so I'm sure that had something to do with it too. So I'm not sure if I can just credit all of that to the suspension. I mean, it was a combination of those things that made the car put down the power better. I think that coilovers was a worthy mod. I really enjoyed the way that the car felt on the coilovers. I enjoy the way the car feels on the coilovers. I'm happy I went with the Fortune Auto 510s. They seem to be working incredibly well. I love the fact that they're adjustable. So, you know, if I know I'm not gonna be doing any aggressive driving, and I know I'm about to go on this long road trip, you know, I could adjust down the dampener and like soften it up a little bit. Like literally in the softest setting, it rode better than stock. And like C5s, they have a really good ride stock, you know, like of course they feel like boats or whatever, but it's a really good ride. So I was thoroughly impressed. I'm thoroughly impressed. I think that it was well worth the money for the coilovers. I'm gonna buy a set for my Civic also. I really enjoyed the coilovers that much. I'm looking forward to exploring the limits of them and just improving myself as a driver. But yeah, man, if you have any questions, go ahead and comment below. Or if you want to hit me up one-on-one, that's cool too. But yeah, man, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Take it easy. I'm out. Excuse me, I'm out.